Here's the first timber of the day, and this is a nice one right here. Limited defects. You don't want a lot of knots when you're going to be making hand tools out of stuff. You want nice clear boards, or timbers rather. We got a few little pinholes right here in the, well, that one, well, that knocked right off. I thought that was a little knot, but it wasn't. It came right off. Must have been some bark. It got pulled in. Got a knot right here toward the end on the tangential plane right here on the side. And what I mean by that, you've got the ray plane, or the medullary ray plane that you're looking at where the rays are on. And the tangential plane is perpendicular to the ray plane. And it's going to move a little bit more than the ray plane will move. There's a few little pinhole knots on this side, but this is juvenile wood here, about the first inch. It was close to the pith. So that's okay. We're left with about 5 or 6 inches of nice clear wood on the end. And you only need about 3 inches for your plane width. So, you know, this is an 8-footer. You can make a lot of hand planes out of this timber right here. And here's why they like using quarter sawn wood for hand planes. It's because of wood movement. Quarter sawn material will not move hardly any at all. The ray plane, or the side that has the medullary rays on the top right here, it's going to move just a little on the width as it dries, hardly any at all. The tangential plane on the side will move, I think, either twice as 4 times as much as the ray plane will move. So this timber right here, the width will not change much at all while it dries. The thickness will change more than the width. And the way they orientate those hand planes, that way the base of the hand plane, or the sole, stays nice and flat and doesn't move at all. The thickness will move just a little bit, but the bottom stays nice and flat over a longer period of time. That's what you want with these hand planes. You want a nice flat work surface to plane from. I hope that made sense to you. I was trying to keep all that straight in my head as I was telling you guys. I had a lot of questions in the last video on why quarter sawn for these hand planes. And that's the gist of it. With this beech, even if I wasn't going to be using it for hand tools, you still got a quarter saw. It's got that interlocking grain. It's like sycamore, it's like elm. If you don't quarter saw that stuff and you flat saw it or plain saw it, man, it's just going to be a mess when it dries. It's not going to stay flat, it's going to move, it's going to twist. You know, half of it will go to the burn pile. I've known guys who said they flat saw an entire sycamore and beech timber before and kiln dried it, and 3/4 of the load went into the burn pit, and the quarter of it was left still moved later on after they brought it into their shop. So that's why you got to quarter saw this stuff. It's the most stable way to harvest any kind of logs is to quarter saw it. I don't care if it's beech, walnut, or anything. You know, you'll get less movement when quarter sawing than you will flat sawing every day of the week. So we'll put a little water on these rays, bring the camera in to show you guys what I'm looking at here. That's some really nice ray fleck pattern on the top right here. Taking a better look at this, I think you can see the medullary rays a lot better without any water on it. Alright guys, here's what we're left with, this little pie-shaped section of beech. But we'll actually get a few quarter sawn boards out of this, even though it's kind of small. Now everybody quarter saws different, and I usually use the reverse roll quarter saw method that my buddy Robert came up with down in Alabama. But since I'm sawing these 3.5 inch thick timbers today, it's kind of hard to do that method when you're taking away so much material from these little sections right here. You want this section to be twice this width, or twice this size rather. That makes more sense. When you do the reverse roll, this right here is just too small for that method. So here's what we're looking at. I got a little lumber crayon, kind of highlight these growth rings in case you can't see them through the camera. So we've got the rings coming down right there on the bottom. So we'll come up from the saw bed and cut a 5/4 board, 1.25 inches thick, because these smaller pieces will make some really nice 5/4 boards. Once I cut this one, our next cut we would lose that quarter sawn grain. Maybe. We might get 2 out of this. Probably just do the 1 though. So we'll do this first cut and get this off here, and that's going to be out of there. Then we'll flip this over to this perpendicular side right here, and we'll have more straight grain right here on this side. We'll lose this middle right here, but that's some heartwood right there in the middle and some juvenile wood, so it's junk anyways. But we'll still get a nice quarter sawn board on this side, and that will leave this material right here in the middle. And I may be able to wedge it and get it on these on these dogs. I may or may not, depends on how it looks. But I may be able to turn it the right direction to orientate it to where we can get maybe 1 5/4 board out of here if we're lucky, maybe 2 if we're really lucky. But if anything, we'll get 2 right here. And if this right here is unable to produce any more quarter sawn boards, I will save it for green woodworking for the shave horse in there. So that's what we'll do. 5/4, 5/4, and a big question mark. Who knows on that piece? So here's what we're left with. This was definitely worth the effort trying to line it up just right. Our top piece right here is going to be waste. Nothing there. The second piece right here is perfectly quarter sawn. And when you trim off this little wedge right here after it dries, it's going to be about 2.5 inches wide. So that's a nice little piece of material to have around, you know, for picture frames or just for some accent pieces. Right here below it's going to be the best one. Right here in the middle it loses that vertical grain, but it recaptures it right there. So we're going to be about 4 inches on the width on this one. It's going to be the best one. So doing it this way, we got 2 small boards out of it. These are 5/4 thickness. This bottom piece here has a lot of taper on this bark side. I probably wouldn't get nothing out of it, even though the grain is completely straight on the bottom. I'll probably just cut these into some small lengths and do some green woodworking with these right here on the bottom. So not too bad. Not really wide or not premium, but definitely worth the effort, and nice to have around some short little boards like this that are 4 and 2 inches wide. Here's a really good example of why you want to get the heart or the pith out of your lumber. This is an 8/4 slab we sawed yesterday. You can see the heart or the pith right there in the middle, that terrible cracking that's already coming out right there. And over here on the face of the slab, this wasn't on here yesterday, this happened last night. While it started drying out here, you can see these cracks all along the face right here, and they're going to continue. You can follow those little cluster of knots all the way up through there, and that's the juvenile wood. Very unstable, prone to cracking and checking and warping. Just junk, guys. You gotta get that out of there. And I may start on my regular slabs that we saw, the walnut and the cherry and the maple. I may go ahead and get rid of the pith before we even air dry it, just so I know it's out of there. So we'll come in here with the mill and make a cut right there where the grain starts getting real straight. And on the bottom, probably right in here as well. And have 2 decent slabs left over for tool making or for tables. And this piece right here will go in the firewood pile.